Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Friday at the Funhouse with Pardo and Popoff. Good morning, Martin. How
Yeah,
you doing on
morning,
this
Pete. How are you?
glorious Friday morning here?
Yeah, real nice here too. Yeah, nice and
It
warm
seems like
last
2 weeks
night.
ago we were talking about how cold it was, and now all of a sudden it was like 75 here yesterday in New
Yeah,
York.
yeah.
Crazy, crazy. So we got a fun show for you here today. We've been getting a lot of mileage out of these album cover theme shows, and today's a pretty cool one. Today is all about those legendary albums that we all love, but the covers are kind of sucky, right? So terrible cover or a pretty subpar cover to a dynamite album. We've each picked out 10 for you here today. And again, preface it, we like these albums. We just don't like the covers. I'm sure there's going to be people who are going to love these album covers. That's just the way it goes. But we personally don't care for these too much. But the albums themselves are pretty damn good. So I'm going to have Martin kick us off with his first choice of the day.
Okay, so my first choice of the day is Saxon Denim and Leather. Look at that, right? So, they've been kind of having not great album covers from Wheels of Steel, like just very plain. Strong Arm of the Law was quite bad, actually, with that kind of badly illustrated badge thing, police badge. But this one, it's we've got the denim. We don't have the leather. There's no leather on here. It's just big, bold, not great colors. The big army font for the title. The back cover probably would have made a better front cover. The great motorcycle shot, and from a previous show we did, I brought out the gods again. That's what it could have looked like, right? So there we go. Gods, nothing is sacred, and there's the back cover of that. But yeah, just kind of whatever. And again, it's only got the denim and not the leather. And I'm sure here somewhere we've got denim and leather, right?
Yeah. Try and find it, though.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is one of those things where the label thinks you just make a simple image, you make it huge, it stands out in the racks, blah, blah, blah. But it's not very remarkable.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a cool logo. Give it some help there, right? I mean,
Yeah,
the logo can't carry the whole load, right?
exactly. Yeah.
That's a good choice. All right, my first choice today.
Yeah.
I mean, could these two look more unmotivated? I mean,
no kidding, eh? Yeah.
I mean, you look at the previous album where they got the both of them on the motorcycles, right? And you're like, all right, that's really cool. And then here they come back, and Robin and Tom are just like looking like, can someone please help us find our parents? We're lost in the supermarket, sort of thing, right? And then you got on the back, you got Rick and Bunny just being goofy. I don't know. I never got this album cover. Terrific album though, but man, what was up with that? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. I never thought of that. I mean, most of them, a lot of them aren't that great, and they do the two guys on the front, two guys on the back thing. But that one is the most staid and, like you say, unmotivated looking, right?
Yeah. And then what does it have to do with the title of the album, Heaven Tonight? I don't know.
All right. So my next one, I'm going with Pink Floyd, The Wall. There it is out of my immersion. No, that's not the immersion box. That's the Shine On box. But here's the cover of the immersion box where they greatly improved it, I thought.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. But I always thought that the cover of this reflected a little bit of the cheap bells and whistles and ploys that are all over the wall. Why I don't take it quite as seriously as Animals or Wish You Were Here or Dark Side of the Moon, which all have great album covers and really classy and intriguing and hypnosis-y. This one just feels a little cartoony to match a little bit of the slight, like I say, cheap bells and whistlesness of The Wall, which obviously is an amazing record. Anyways, I'm not saying it's crappy. It's probably my fourth favorite album they ever did, and it's a masterpiece, and it's diamond and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought the album cover, even though it matched the concept, I thought it was just a little too pedestrian compared to the previous three.
Yeah, I mean, they could have put a little more powerful and magnificent looking wall on that cover. To me, that always seemed like they put so much into that album, yet the album cover is just kind of like thrown together at the last minute. That deserves something a little more spectacular than that other one you held up with all the, the cool characters and little cartoony thing. I mean, that's brilliant right there.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. I wasn't going to pick this one, but I just had to, because this is such a classic album from this band, and I just never in a million years understood the album cover. Black Sabbath, Paranoid. I mean, I guess it has something to do a little bit with, War Pigs or whatever, but it just, I mean, here you got this weird looking guy with a shield and a sword and some weird looking cheesy 50s sci-fi space helmet. I just don't get it at all. In the woods. I mean, it's just like, what I don't know.
Yeah.
Did they have something else in mind and they just kind of decided not to go with that and just threw this together? I mean, after the awesomeness of the first album and the cover on that, I just never understood this at all. But again, as we've spoken about before, Black Sabbath has this history of very bizarre album covers throughout their career. So I guess this was kind of the beginning of that. But yeah, great album. The album that got me into, metal, but I always thought this album cover was kind of a joke. So
yeah, the colors are pretty cool, and it matches a little bit Master of Reality, and I thought the guy matches just as closely the idea of Paranoid as it does War Pigs, but yeah, and the blurriness of it and all that. But I had a few Black Sabbaths on my list, they're because they have so many classic legendary albums, right? It's easy to pick. There's the albums there. All right.
I just find this album cover goofy, and the album is anything but that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It does not portray the music at all.
Yeah. Okay. My next choice is ZZ Top, Tres Hombres. This is a good choice because it's widely considered their greatest album. I mean, you could argue a little here or there on it, but this, as we've said, if Fandango's studio side, if they had another studio side and it was as good as that side, it probably would have been a better album. But this has, a lot of hits on it, a lot of songs from the set. And just like the first two, it looks like a country rock album. Doesn't look very heavy, Texas rock and roll. Sure, it's got the three guys on the cover, but yeah, it's very old fashioned. London Records that's part of the problem. The back's kind of got the stuff handwritten on there. It looks a little almost independent. Of course, this one has the famous, the big Mexican meal gatefold there. Which
that's even more interesting than the cover.
Yeah. Have you seen, there's that neat meme on the net that was on 10 years ago or something where a guy recreated that meal and took a picture of it?
Oh, no, I haven't. Wow.
Pretty good. Cool. Yeah, you can go see it on the net. But yeah, so I just thought, green doesn't go with hard rock very well. So,
true story.
That's another show, green album covers.
Exactly. Yeah, there's plenty of those, right? So true story. So I absolutely love that album. That's my favorite ZZ Top album. No surprise there. And I can't tell you how many times I've you see all these ads and things for, band shirts all the time. And I've always seen those pop up. And I'm like, part of me would love to have a ZZ Top shirt with my favorite album on it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That album cover sucks.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like the same thing with Blue Oyster Cult's Secret Treaties. I love that album to death, but I never really liked that album cover. It just doesn't look good on a t-shirt. So
yeah, funny. Yeah.
Can't win them all, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of can't win them all, Something Anything by Todd Rundgren. I mean, I like roses or flowers just like anybody else, but I mean, this is this big sprawling double album with all sorts of great stuff on it. And that's the best they could do. Right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it got left out in the sun. It's in your CD collection that's facing the picture window, right? And it got all faded out.
Exactly. Right. I mean, the colors aren't even good. It's not even really a great drawing of flowers. Yeah. I mean, I would have been happy if they just took like a photograph of some real flowers. I mean, it's just to me, it's kind of lazy. And again, the greatness of this album deserves something so much better. And I think that's the key to a lot of what we're going to talk about today is that these are legendary albums and that's the best they could do. I don't get it.
What an annoying title too, something/anything question mark. Oh man.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it, but whatever. But love the album.
Yeah. Okay. So next we're going to go to the biggest, most beloved progressive rock album of all time by many polls, right? Yes, Close to the Edge. We're just getting into the Roger Dean era, but on this one he decides, let's not put anything on there other than the text. And the text is really cool. The text is amazing. Yeah. And there is something kind of neat about the oblivion, you're close to the edge of what? Is this the edge of flat earth falling into space? What is this, right? Back cover's kind of cool, kind of well put together, the back cover. But then, he saves the classic Roger Deanness for the gatefold of it, right?
Yeah.
But this almost looks like it should have been. This almost looks like a greatest hits album or something like that. Some sort of compilation. Really doesn't say very much. And you know, for the theme of the show, like it's definitely a legendary album, the greatest progressive rock album of all time.
Yeah, I mean that's like the poster child for this topic. I mean, we talked about that on the In the Prog Seat show the other night about how it's, you know, one of the greatest prog albums of all time, if not the. It's got the greatest epic of all time. Yet that album cover is like, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, shouldn't they have put that inside on the outside? Which
Yeah.
perfectly talks about being close to the edge. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
and again back to the whole green concept, right? There we go
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
All right, my next choice, L.A. Woman by the Doors.
Oh, yeah. Brutal. Yeah.
This is just bad. I mean, you know, I don't mind some of the other album covers where they're on the cover, right?
Yeah.
I think they're kind of interesting to an extent, but this, it's a bad photograph
Yeah.
in, you know, yellow and black. And, you know, what's the point of titling it LA Woman? I mean, come on, couldn't you have had something with a woman on the front? And
Yeah.
I mean, it just, I don't know, you know, Jim looks like shit on here. It's
Mm.
just, and this is a great album. And it's like, you know, granted, they didn't know at the time that this was going to be kind of like their, you know, their final hurrah with this lineup. But
Yeah.
I mean, this just speaks laziness to me.
Yeah. And again, I got called on this last time. What is kerning, right? Kerning, kerning, right? That's got bad kerning because you see the dot at the bottom, how the W is scrunched up against it and overlapping the dot.
Yep.
So they just kind of, you know, shoved it all together.
Yep.
Brutal. Horrible colors too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't really have an issue per se, although we might see a couple of them here, when you put the band on the front cover, but at least make it look a little artsy. Like I think like the Soft Parade, that's a brilliant cover.
Yeah.
I like Waiting for the Sun. I don't even mind the first album, but then there's this. It's just like, I don't know. It's so drab looking. And again, a great album like that deserves something, you know, where they put some thought behind it. That just to me screams we threw that together at the last minute just to get the album out, and that's a shame because that album is so good. But
yeah,
whatever.
Cool. All right. My next choice is Alice in Chains Facelift. You know, grunge has a lot of bad covers because they're trying to make it look loose and put together and action packed, right? But to me, these colors don't scream grunge to me. And I don't even know who that is on the cover. Probably somebody does. There's probably something in the wiki about it. But is that Lane? I don't know who it is. It's just some dude, right? So it just seemed like a big wash of whatever. The band shot on the back is actually kind of cooler.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Boomtown Rats first cover where they wrap up like that. I think Iggy Pop's got one like that too, somewhat where you wrap in cellophane or plastic, right? And Goat's Head Soup, right? So there's a few like that. And Dirt was a pretty cool album cover. But this just, you know, you don't know. I mean, this is 1991. You don't, or is it 90? So you don't know whether this is a carryover from the hair metal years. It doesn't really.
I was just going to say that.
Grunge, yeah. And it's very colorful for a grunge album cover because one of the trademarks was those black and white Charles Peterson photography shots that you saw in a lot of things. So, it just doesn't match the music. Never liked it. There you go.
Cool. That's a great choice. Yeah, and it doesn't match the next couple albums that came after it at all. I mean, it's like kind of like an outlier in that catalog.
Yeah.
All right. I don't even know where to begin with this one. This turned out to be the biggest album of their career, but they got no help from the album cover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
Come on, you know, it's like, I mean, I love the title of the album. I love the song, you know, we're an American band. This screams, let's put us on the cover looking completely badass. Quite frankly, we talked about last week, the Grand Funk Live album, right? That would have been perfect for this because here we are, a hardworking, sweaty American band.
Yeah.
What we got is this boring gold cover with the tiniest I mean, the back is the exact same. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
It didn't deter people, obviously, because like I said, this album was huge, but I never understood that. And granted, this band has had some really bad album covers throughout their career, but you know, they have a couple good ones, but man, I don't get it.
I think in the original vinyl, it was at least gold ink, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that was the one thing it had kind of going for it. And it's a gatefold, right? I believe. And
Yeah.
it's got, doesn't have it like them. Are they naked with the little American flags in the gatefold?
Oh, geez, I don't even remember.
Or are they not naked? I don't quite remember.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, there we go.
yeah. Now
Yeah.
that to me would, I mean, granted, that's kind of too, but that to me would have
Yeah.
been a better album cover. I mean, but quite frankly, that's what I would want to see. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
great live shot. I don't know. It just screams laziness to me, and I don't understand that about some of these albums we're talking about here. But
We're an American band. Send us clothes, right?
right, yeah, right. We need them. Never mind all the millions we're making, right?
Yeah. Okay, my next choice. Curious one here. King Crimson Red. You know, King Crimson had some really cool, mystical, interesting album covers. In fact, almost all of them leading up to this were cool in some way. This was just kind of odd. It shows, it kind of betrays or portrays shifting lineups and the fact that there isn't much of a lineup because you only got 3 guys at this point. It's called Red, and there's nothing red about it other than they made the title of it Red. You know, there's a lot of things you could have done with this, but this is not a band. It's kind of a neat band that we've established a direction where we're a little bit mysterious and we don't show you pictures of the guys, right? So it's just a strange outlier. And also the other thing about it is it's often rated the very best King Crimson album, right? It's either this or the debut, or you know, you can pick the odd one in there. We won't go to where I stand on those because I love obviously the red, blue, and yellow period, but just nothing about this seems like a King Crimson album cover to me. There you go.
I will say though, it looks great on a T-shirt, and I own one.
Right on, yeah. Cool.
Boy. All right. So I talked before about you know, putting the band pictures on the front. Sometimes it works okay, sometimes it doesn't. To me, this does not.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's a bad picture. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's a bad picture. I mean, they obviously look like they just got done with a gig, you know, all sweaty. They're, you know, got their beers in hand and whatnot. But the picture's kind of out of focus, and you got the, you know, the 2 different colors on both sides. I don't know. I never liked this. And again, titled "Give Me Back My Bullets." What does that have to do with anything here?
What a great title too, eh?
It's an awesome title. I mean, this deserves some kind of. I mean, you could have kept it Southern theme, but "Give Me Back My Bullets." Bad shot of the band. I don't understand. I don't
Right
get
on.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like this whole episode like gets you frustrated because she's like, oh,
Yeah.
it should have been a winning combination.
Yeah. All right. Next one for me is Meshuggah, Destroy, Erase, Improve. That is one of the all-time horrible album covers by anybody. You know, this kind of represents moving into the computer digital graphics age, and also having low budgets and being not a big label. This is Century Media, Relapse at the time. All right, yeah. So this is, but it is considered. This is considered. Probably their greatest album. It is considered a classic. You see it on a lot of lists of great albums. It's the first one where they kind of really realize their sound properly in whatever, not even close to an accessible way, but about as accessible as it's going to get. And it actually gets less accessible on some of the later ones. They got some great album covers too, but
they really do. Yeah.
But this is just a horrible mess of whatever, right? So there you
So
go.
the complete opposite of the ZZ Top story I told before. So I actually bought a T-shirt of that ages ago because it's one of my favorite Meshuggah albums. And you know what? I almost never wear it or wore it because it's just so damn ugly.
Yeah. So, yeah. Even the type styles are kind of a really old school type style, right?
Yeah. Oh, well. All right. My next choice at number 4, John Barleycorn Must Die from Traffic. Poor John Barleycorn gets saddled with a pretty boring album cover. I mean, I get it. I know the reason why they did this is because this album, it has more of kind of like a folky flavor. But it's just, to me, I don't even like the drawing, the painting. It just to me, it just screams kind of like peasantness, and I don't know. I just think an album of this majesty, again, deserves something a little better. And Traffic has had some pretty cool album covers. I don't think this is one of them. This, almost like, at least Zeppelin had the good idea of having someone take a tied up, what would they call these fags and whatever, and put it, on some weird old guy's shoulder. Here it's just kind of sitting there in a little poorly drawn stack. Don't like it. Don't like it. Love the album. Don't like the cover.
Yeah. All right. My next one is Anthrax Among the Living. Just kind of a crappy illustration. It's got the old man on it. Heavy metal guys don't need albums with dudes on the cover, right? Like that, like illustrated dudes. And they did it previously with this one too. It's a little better album cover, but it's like we don't want to see dudes, right? And these illustrations, this one's even a little busy, but this one just I don't know. The colors aren't good. Never liked their logo. The logo was always kind of, cheesy right out of the gates, and then they obstinately kept it more or less, right? So yeah, there you go. I mean, I'm sure there's some deep mystical meaning behind that cover, but it's just, when you illustrate these people like this, especially, well, it actually happens with women too. When these old heavy metal album covers take pictures of women, disastrous results can occur, right? So there you go. Two not great Anthrax covers, and they had more not great album covers, right?
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah, they had a lot, right? They got a lot of heck for I mean, Persistence isn't great. State of Euphoria isn't great.
Euphoria with all that yellow, it's like, oh
yeah. The first one, everybody gives a heck for that bad illustration, right?
Yeah.
Sound of White Noise is not great. So
no. Yeah, it's good. A good example. Yeah. All right.
God. Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, I like Bruce. Don't get me wrong, but Darkness on the Edge of Town. He's trying to look like a badass, but he's got his hair all poofed up, and he just doesn't look badass here. He looks like this, kind of wimpy guy from New Jersey trying to look tough with the leather jacket, and it's a bad background. It's like he's sitting in his grandmother's dining room with the old wallpaper, and I don't get it. And this album kicks ass. Yeah. And again, I guess they were trying to go for kind of like a 50s greaser look or something like that, the James Dean thing, but it doesn't work. It's not a good picture of him. He doesn't look badass. I don't know.
It's no darkness. He's probably not on the edge of it.
No darkness at all.
Like you say, he's in Grandma's living room, right?
Yeah.
Can I take a picture here, Grandma? Yeah. Okay. My next choice is King's X Dogman. Now, granted, this did come out in 3 colors. You could get the primary colors, different versions of it. But after there it is out of the sleeve. So the idea here was that this is kind of late for dinner grunge era, and it's their semi-grungier album. Brendan O'Brien produced. It's an absolute classic. A lot of people will pick it as their favorite King's X, but they're coming off of these great illustrations on some of their early ones. Really nice proggy look to them. There's the debut. So, they're trying to look all grunge and kind of adopting that Seattle thing where it's minimalist. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of crappy album covers out of grunge. And I just think this doesn't do much for them. Got rid of the logo, It's kind of neat the way they put together the type in here in the box, but other than that, nah.
I almost, back in the day when that album came out, where the CD came out, I almost didn't buy it because I thought, how horrible is this album cover? I mean, it's terrible, but that's one of my favorites. So if everybody listening, of course, we're going to get comments. It's like, well, Pete, but I thought you hated King's X. I don't hate King's X. I've never fully gotten into them. I've actually considered in recent weeks of going out and getting the rest of the catalog that I don't have and just trying to figure out King's X all over again, because they're just one of these bands that I know I should love, and I don't dislike them. I just never fully got them, but maybe it's just time for me to try once again. So I'm willing to do that for everybody. I'm willing to do it. So more to come on that. In the meantime,
oh yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Do I need to say anything? I mean, this is like one of the worst album covers ever. I mean, I remember even being a kid, and I bought this when I was like, I don't know, 12
Wow.
years
Yeah,
old.
that's true. Yeah.
You know, I mean, Band on the Run, great album cover. You know, Wings Over America, great album cover. Venus and Mars, that's a little questionable. But this, what in the world does this have to do with At the Speed of Sound?
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, what is it supposed to be? I don't know. It's as boring as you can get. I mean, this must have cost them nothing to put together. And again, this album is loaded with, well, there's some stinkers on this album, but this album is loaded with huge hits from them. And I'm just like, man, that is just the laziest piece of crap album cover ever. That's like one of those, you know, when you're a kid and you're showing people your record collection and you come up to this one, you're like, yeah, we don't need to look at that one. We just pass it right by.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and those kind of titles really frustrate me too, where you don't know, is the title Wings at the Speed of Sound or is it just At the Speed of Sound? You know,
right.
Dictators always will correct you if you go Girl Crazy. They say no, it's called The Dictators Go Girl Crazy, right?
Exactly.
Like, oh, come on.
And I think this is officially Wings at the Speed of Sound, not At the Speed of Sound. But yeah, that's
right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is bad. That's for sure. Okay, my last choice. I think I'm at 10. But because I've got nothing else in my pile here. So yeah, I believe I'm at 10. So let's go with UK. You know, picked because it is a, hang on, I'm not even holding it straight. There we go. UK. I picked this because it is a legendary album. It's probably, would you say, Pete, the greatest prog supergroup album of all time? It's possible.
I would say if it's not number one, it's number two. Yep.
Yeah. So not crazy about this up in the corner, not crazy about even having the dots in UK. I wouldn't even have done that. But yeah, you can't really tell what's going on with the pictures of the guy. And guys, I mean, it's a little artsy, right? It's not terrible. But yeah, it doesn't really say much of anything. The back cover is kind of cool. You got the whole space shot thing. And then of course they've got the I think this is Hypnosis. It should be if it isn't. But yeah, great album cover for Danger Money. This one always reminded me of one of those cool, mysterious Golden Earring album covers, right? They've got some great ones, right? So this one looks like a Golden Earring album cover. So I thought they did okay on that one. But no, this just doesn't do it for me. But
I think Wetton and Bruce must have been infatuated with the fact that on the Red album they used the red color for the name of the album, and they just let's recreate that here, right?
Yeah, funny. Yeah. And I don't know what all these other little shapes are. I mean, it's actually just their clothes, I guess, that you see, like where the black fades out and the other shapes come in. But
yeah. It's just weird because you got this great super group of these four, really notable guys, and you got these fuzzy photographs of them on the front. It's like, but a classic album. All right.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, this album doesn't stink, but boy, does that album cover stink. Love Stinks by the Jay Giles Band. Oh man, that's just awful.
It's funny, eh? That album. I mean, you can compare that to the Kinks a little bit, right? In having this second wind of a pretty decent career right around the same time, and with Jay Giles, they had this kind of career rejuvenation with that album. Just when you got like Give the People What They Want and Low Budget, right?
Yeah. That's another album cover that's no good.
Yeah, would Give the People What They Want.
Yeah,
actually, both of them, but actually, definitely both of them. But Give the People What They Want with Rage is running by. It's like, yeah.
And then the one after that is basically just like a continuation of that. It's like it's like they shot all the same stuff at the same photography session and just reused whatever they had left. But
a lot of bad album covers. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But this is just a stinker, but this is a great album. This is the album that, really made them big in North America. I mean, they had a pretty solid career up to then, but this is the one that kind of opened them up to the masses. But that album cover certainly didn't help them, but it did, I don't know. It's
for sure.
So there you have it. 30 minutes of some bad album covers on some classic albums. This was actually a lot of fun. I love talking about bad album covers, but what was cool about this is you're talking about crappy album covers on albums that you really dig quite a bit. And I think for me, it's like the more I talk about and look at these album covers, I'm like, oh, why couldn't they have spent a little bit more time putting something great on that album cover other than that? Because that is not very good. So everybody watching, feel free to contribute some ideas on what you think are bad album covers for some really legendary classic albums, and we'll see what you come up with, right? I don't know if we can squeeze another episode out of this one, but
yeah, who knows? Yeah,
we might be able. I don't know. This was fun, so I probably could. But we'll see. It seems like there's like no end in sight for the amount of different topics you can do revolving around album covers, which is unless you're like a music nerd like us. I mean, how many hours have we like spent in our lives like poring over album covers and the significance of them and the suckiness to the greatness of them? I mean, it's amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's neat critiquing them and then finding different ways to critique them, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's in some cases it's almost as important as the music, right? I mean, that just goes to show you that the artwork or the photography is just as important sometimes as the music itself, right?
Yeah, so for sure.
Anyway, Martin, new books coming in, things going out. What do you got? What do you got for us?
Yeah, more books coming in from Britain. A lot of stuff that I went out of print with, but still the big ones are Driven, Rush in the 90s and In the End, and Flaming Telepaths, Imaginos Expanded and Specified. So martinpopoff.com for all that.
Cool. Sounds good. And what do we got coming up here on the channel? So this weekend, we've got finally getting there. Chuck Alvarez and myself will be ranking the catalog of Jazz Fusion Legends Weather Report. That's coming up this weekend. We've got a pretty cool show coming up on Monday night with the Hudson Valley Squares. We're going to be looking at our favorite albums from the year 1979. In the Prague seat on Tuesday night, we're going to be looking at our favorite live albums falling under the prog metal, and jazz fusion categories, right? So that's coming up on Tuesday, and all sorts of stuff happening during the week. We got Martin coming back next Friday, so stay tuned for that. And a lot more here on the channel. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. If you like what you see, please click on that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you want to make a donation to the channel, Ko-Fi link is below. Have a good weekend, everybody. For Martin Popoff, I am Pete Pardo. Take care.